From a rookie gaining with the power that could put him in a Jonin tier power at the start of the series to being able to rival gods themselves, Boruto's power growth has been so fast that some fans might think that he has hit the magical, mythical shonen power lottery. One moment he's scrapping with beings like Shojoji, the next moment he's standing at a level beyond Jigen, rivaling Isshiki, potentially overshadowing Isshiki depending on how you scale Jura. But is Boruto's growth something that's really been too rapid? Or is it exactly what happens when you mix in a high floor, even higher ceiling character with teachers who have extraordinary levels of powers themselves, including one that has the power of 10 directions? Join me in today's newest Naruto Explained video where your OBC, your original Boruto chief, breaks down why Boruto's quick rise to power isn't a plot hole. Instead, it's a twist on the textbook shonen evolution of overpowered main characters cranked up to level 11. Also, it's that time of the month again. The chapter drops on the 19th this month, so spoilers will likely be out in the next few days as of this recording, which if full spoilers are out, they will be up on the channel, and the chapter review will be out 2 days after the spoiler, maybe 3, depending on how much time the editor needs to maintain the quality of the 2 Blue Vortex chapter reviews. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to check out my new Nico Robin video on my Everything One Piece Explained channel and sub to that channel as well, and also sub to my Anime Explained channel if you want to hear me discuss other series besides things that aren't Naruto related. So let's just jump right into it. So the starting point, Boruto Uzumaki, when you first meet him, he's at Jonin level. I'm not going to go into a comprehensive breakdown of why Boruto starts at a Jonin level and why it backs up with what we were told that placed him at that level from official sources. I'll leave the Boruto video for how strong Boruto is at the end of part 1 linked in the description box. So the official weekly Shonen Jump materials that were published during the Momoshiki arc and during the Boruto movie, it directly stated that Boruto and Sarada had Jonin level striking power and skill. Even before he got the Karma Seal, Boruto was already somebody who had a very high floor. To put this in a proper perspective, because when people hear Jonin level, they immediately think of someone like Kakashi. Kakashi would be who you would consider to be an elite Jonin. So saying that someone is starting out at a Jonin level, that's more like saying if you drop them in Naruto Part 1, they could mop the floor with the Sound 4 shinobi who the Sasuke retrieval team was struggling with. Those same Sound 4 members had to go into the curse mark second state to take out exhausted Special Jonin and Genma and Raido. Special Jonin are weaker than standard Jonin, yet they needed curse mark second state and to gang up on them to take them out. That is characters starting out at a very high floor. That is a higher floor than any of their parents. That Jonin tier of power starts out at levels of Kid Kakashi who got the Sharingan, and that's going all the way up to people that are on the precipice of joining the elite Jonin levels of power. Elite Jonin obviously being someone like Kakashi or someone like Asuma, someone like Zabuza, someone like Haku. Those are considered elite Jonin levels of strength. And when I say Kakashi, I mean part 1 Kakashi, because obviously Kakashi got stronger throughout the series. It's important to understand that information before you get into the rest of the video itself. We see him in the manga fighting a Jonin caliber threat in Shojoji. The reason why we know he's at a Jonin caliber is because Shikamaru in the Shikamaru Shinden Morning Cloud story, which is linked to the manga timeline by Shueisha, it was stated by Shikamaru and the team he was assembling to take down Shojoji that he expected Mirai, someone considered to be an elite Chunin, as well as having her on a team with Chunin and a Jonin to bring down Shojoji. Boruto was able to fight relative to him. Then when you get to the Ao example, in Naruto Shippuden, Ao was superior to Sai's own superiors, Fu and Tori, making him stronger than base early Shippuden Naruto, since Sai was implied and directly stated by Danzo to be stronger than base early Shippuden Naruto. Obviously, Naruto surpassed Sai after that, but by the time Boruto is fighting Ao, Ao has had ninja tech amps. He is not using ninjutsu by his own self-imposed will. Yet Boruto was still able to handle him in their fight. They fought relative and Boruto came out on top. Then when you get to the basic Karma Seal Amp, Naruto had to brace against Boruto's blows, and he praised his son's tremendous growth in terms of the power that Karma gave him. He was a very impressive shinobi before he ever turned 13. Obviously, that Karma Seal Boruto was still below base Hokage Naruto, well below base Hokage Naruto. But given how strong base Hokage Naruto is, that's very damn impressive for a 12-year-old kid. Then when you get to the rocket ship, that's where the power-up happens. So the rocket ship in this case is a figurative one. So the post-omnipotence training arc was something that was cooked up in a kitchen when you think about it. Because he trained under Sasuke for a year, learned all of his jutsu that did not require the Sharingan. That's like Naruto learning Sage Mode, Rasen Shuriken, and teleportation based strategy. If Minato was able to train Naruto and help him develop a jutsu like the Rasen Shuriken, and to basically compress it down into 1 year. Then when you get into Kashin Koji's 10 Directions training, it's a divine accelerated version of basically time efficiency. Kashin Koji passed down jutsu to Boruto, showing him the mechanics of how to perform them, stuff that Boruto otherwise would not have completed until he was 19 to, in some cases, being in his early 20s. A great example of how this is not something that is brand new. Naruto's Rasengan took Minato years to invent, but Naruto was taught the mechanics of how to perform the jutsu, and he learned it in a month in the manga when it was being taught, and he learned the final step in only a week of training to win his bet with Tsunade. When it came time for him to try to make the Rasen Shuriken, when you factor in he's using shadow clones over the span of 10 days in the manga, Naruto was able to combine several dozens of years of training that it otherwise would have took him. Basically, Boruto had a similar thing, he just didn't use shadow clones per se. Kashin Koji's teaching is greater than inventing because it is easier to learn a jutsu than to make one. Kashin Koji basically cut Boruto's timeline drastically. And when you couple that with the fact that, again, Boruto's starting with a higher floor than his parents had, than even Sasuke had, a higher floor, which means that his ceiling is even higher, as stated by Sasuke. Think of it like, imagine if Kashin Koji was able to train teenage Minato. Minato would have grown a lot higher and a lot faster than he did. If you take what Naruto says in Naruto Retsuden, he damn near strongly implies that had Minato never died, Minato would have been stronger than Naruto is in the Boruto era, which is absolutely insane, but it makes sense. Minato died before Minato ever reached his prime. Minato died at age 24. You can realistically say that Hokage alive Minato was relative to White Mask Obito from the war. Imagine if Kashin Koji was able to take that teenage Minato and teach him all the things that Minato 20 years in the future could have learned. Minato, like Boruto, had a high ceiling and even higher potential, but Minato was stuck with a bum like Jiraiya having to train him. Obviously using the word bum loosely, but Kashin Koji, due to 10 Directions, is a better teacher due to how hacks it is. Then when you get into Boruto's ceiling, Kakashi compared him to Minato. Naruto compared him to Sasuke. Sasuke outright stated that based on what he was seeing, Boruto was a bigger loser than Naruto, and he thought that Boruto would surpass he and Naruto. That's 3 different god tier benchmarks acknowledging Boruto's insane ceiling when you look at it from that perspective. Then you get into the teacher factor, and this is the part that really should stand out that I don't think enough people pay attention to. Strong mentors speed up strength dramatically. The stronger the sensei, the more rapid the student's growth is. That isn't something that just started in Boruto. That happened in Naruto. Under Naruto, when he trained under Jiraiya, at the end of part 1, base Naruto, without using any Kurama chakra, he was Chunin level. When you get into One Tail Naruto, he's approaching Jonin level. After 2.5 years of training with Jiraiya, where Jiraiya had to teach Naruto all the basics of stuff he should have already known, stuff that did not require chakra control, just basic shit Naruto should have known. He had to teach him all that, and then he had to work with him on trying to learn Kurama's power, work with him on his battle IQ, as well as help him create the giant Rasengan, which, given how the Rasengan itself works, being able to control that much extra high volume of chakra being added to the Rasengan, which is the pinnacle changing chakra shape. To be able to do that is more impressive than people give credit for. This, he just learned how to make a bigger Rasengan, is downplaying like crazy. Base Naruto returned at a Jonin level. You could say that base Naruto in early Shippuden was rivaling someone like Asuma. Asuma was a elite Jonin. Then the best example of this being how you had Obito train under Madara. Obito in Naruto Volume 27, when he awakens the Sharingan, that Obito is at a lower Jonin level. He is comparable to that Kakashi that just got promoted. Madara got his hands on Obito, and through the mix of genjutsu where he's able to train him, Madara raised Obito up a whole 5 tiers in 1 year. Obito went from a promising rookie to someone who could challenge Hokage Minato. Obviously, Minato curb stomped him, and Obito had a lot of hacks on there, but Obito's strength increase is enough that you could argue, yeah, he's below Deva Path levels in terms of the full Deva Path pain that blew up the village because he had all of Nagato's chakra, but you could put that Obito above Six Tails Naruto. Six Tails Naruto is incredibly cracked. That's a lot to jump up in only a year. Then when you get into Boruto's case, when you factor in those examples, hell, you can even use Sakura. Sakura went from being barely at a Genin level to you get into early Shippuden and she's at a Jonin level, and by the time you get to Naruto Volume 71, she's jumped up to a level where you can put her at the level of 1/3 of Surpassed Naruto, because that's what's directly stated. Chakras used to amp up physical stats. That's a hell of a jump for Sakura over the span of 4 years. Boruto had 3 years with senseis like Sasuke, someone who, even without the Rinnegan, Sasuke's at an Otsutsuki level power. Lower tier Otsutsuki, depending on what you want to call lower tier, still have that version of Sasuke over base Momoshiki, but that's another video for another day. Sasuke at that point in time is still the strongest Uchiha to have ever lived up to that point in time. Then you have Kashin Koji, someone who was relative to Hokage Kakashi. That Hokage Kakashi being stronger than War Art Kakashi before Kakashi got DMS. But Kashin Koji has divine hacks because Kashin Koji has 10 directions, which again cut down on Boruto's training time. Both were able to unlock far levels of growth for someone like Boruto to be able to scale up. This is why Boruto's growth makes a lot of sense if you take the emotion out of it. Boruto had a higher floor than Naruto or Obito ever started with. He started at a Jonin level. He did not start at a Genin level like Naruto did, or if you just go by when we first meet Obito in the manga, Obito was at a Chunin level, but then obviously he got like the Sharingan, jumped up to that lower Jonin level. If you want to be technical, he was at a Genin level like Naruto when you get into flashbacks, but you get the point that what I'm getting at right here. His ceiling is the highest of them all. He has direct Otsutsuki heritage via getting Momoshiki's Koma Seal and Momoshiki's genetics, even though that does not factor into his base, but he also has genetics that are strongly tied to Otsutsuki because he has Hyuga clan blood. The Hyuga has some of the most strongly linked human blood that can trace back to the Otsutsuki clan, and he also has the Uzumaki clan bloodline. He has traces of the bloodlines of both grandchildren of Kaguya. He's supposed to start with a high floor like he did. Then you have the most important thing. Omnipotence created an urgent environment. Boruto, he is now being hunted by Code, someone who's stronger than Jigen. He is also a rogue ninja framed for the murder of his parents. He has no safe home to call home. He's always on the run, looking over his shoulders. He is forced to adapt daily for survival. Survival, but plus a god tier mentor and a very, very high Kage tier mentor in Kashin Koji before you get into that divine power. That is an insane growth curve ready to basically be exploited. Power in a lot of shonen comes in directly in direct response to a need. Look no further. I can feel safe saying this now that Demon Slayer's movie's out. Look no further than how people like Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu were able to jump up to a Hashira level very quickly in the span of training with the Hashira. The stronger your mentor, the faster you are going to grow. I also want you to compare this to other classic shonen. Goku got very strong training under Roshi, but he got even stronger training under Kami. He got even stronger when he was training under King Kai. Then when he trained under Whis, he jumped up to god tiers of power. When he trained under Mirrors, it was the same thing. The same thing with Vegeta. Once he trains under Whis, he catches up to Goku, despite the fact that Goku in his base has the power of Super Saiyan God because he absorbed it into his base form. But with only a few months of training under Whis, Vegeta closed that gap, where base Vegeta is relative to base Goku, despite that base Goku having Super Saiyan God power in his base. When you have a high floor and a high ceiling, and you have an incredibly strong mentor, you're going to jump up several levels of power. Which I bring up that Dragon Ball example just because, again, Ikimoto is a huge Dragon Ball fanboy and he references a lot of Dragon Ball stuff in some of the writing as well as in some of the way he does battles and etc. What you see with Boruto is not something that is exclusive to Boruto. It's happened in multiple shonen. No different than Ichigo with how he grew in Bleach when he was able to get the Bankai training. And then when he was able to train at the Soul King Palace. It was fine for Bleach. It should damn sure be fine for Boruto. Then when you look at it, Boruto's on that same narrative trajectory. But there's a greater narrative urgency that has to be factored in. Then when you get into the tier jump, I mean, it's pretty damn impressive when you look at it. If you just look at where Boruto started at the beginning of Boruto's manga, at a Jonin level to surpassing someone like Jigen, that's basically jumping 11 tiers in power in a full 3 years from the start of Boruto up to where we see him when he comes back. That sounds wild until you factor in how someone like Madara was able to make Obito jump up several tiers. Boruto's growth, it's more compressed, but it's also narratively necessary, which that is fine. Without his growth, Boruto couldn't survive Code. He couldn't have survived Hidari. He couldn't have survived Jura, even though Jura is dog walking him, and any other Shinju threat that is coming. It's basically the shonen survival logic at play. When characters are facing a certain threat level, they typically tap into their potential faster to be able to fight against said threat level. That is how Naruto comes back at a Jonin level before he uses any Nine-Tails chakra, because you need it to be at a Jonin level just to fight against some of the entry-level Akatsuki beings. Naruto needed to, in his base form, get to that level of strength because you have to start out being able to throw hands with somebody like, say, Hidan. Has Boruto's growth been too fast on paper? You could say maybe, but I would argue because we've seen something similar in other series, if you can swallow it with other series, you should swallow it here. 10 Directions is perfectly explained and it's building on something that we already had in Naruto. The stronger your sensei, the faster you're going to grow if the sensei's worth a damn. It makes perfect sense. With Sasuke and Kashin Koji as his teachers, Boruto didn't just train, he leapfrogged timelines quite literally via Kashin Koji. Add in his insane already starting point, a potential that was acknowledged by some of the strongest shinobi to have ever existed, Kakashi, Naruto, Sasuke, and the urgent survival stakes after omnipotence, his meteoric rise, it isn't just logical, it's necessary. At the end of the day, shonen is about survival, it's about evolution, it's about power coming in response to a need and matching your adversary and climbing to meet the next threat. And Boruto's climb is not just a rocket ship, it's a natural consequence of destiny colliding with preparation. Let me repeat that because I think that's a bar there. It's a natural consequence of destiny colliding with preparation. The only question is, how high is Boruto's ceiling? Because he damn sure ain't reached it yet. Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, click here on the left to check out more Naruto Explained videos, or click here on the right to check out videos from other two anime channels where I talk about non-Naruto content.